This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good Erev Shabbos, everyone. I hope everyone could hear me. I want to tell you about a Drasha that I heard about 14 years ago. And at the time, I was actually quite bemused by this Drasha. I thought it was a highly unusual Drasha. But after some time passed, it sort of started to resonate with me. I may have mentioned it in the past. I have a friend whose father is a volunteer doctor, and he would volunteer to vaccinate people in underprivileged and third world countries. He was working in Kenya, in Tanzania, and he encountered a tribe. He encountered a tribe known as the Masay Warriors. The Masay Warriors are considered the tallest people in the world, and they have very unusual customs. By the way, the Masay Warriors, they circumcise their children when they enter manhood. The women, they stretch their earlobes all the way down as far as it goes. Their diet is quite queer. They drink raw milk. They eat raw meat. And that is their main source of nourishment is drinking raw blood. Actually, they figured out a way to puncture the jugular of the animal to drink its blood without actually killing the animal. By the way, one would have expected that they would be extremely unhealthy. They have very high cholesterol levels. And doctors have found that they actually have the clearest arteries of anyone in the world. Okay, so this friend of mine, his father was volunteering in Kenya and Tanzania, and he encounters this tribe of people, and he's speaking at the bris of his grandson, and he said over a drasha that he heard from the Masay Warrior. See, the Masay Warrior, they deal mainly with cows and sheep, and from the cow and the sheep, they're provided with all of their needs. They eat the cow, they drink the cow, everything they have, they wear the cow, their shoes come from the cow, their clothing comes from the cow. Their roofs are constructed of cow manure. Everything that they have in this world comes from the cow. And they were asked, there are other sources of food, there are other sources of nourishment, there are other sources of clothing. Why everything from the cow and the sheep? Zok the Masay Warrior. This is our way of life. If the Almighty gave us the cow, and the Almighty gave us the sheep, then the Almighty knows that for our success and our happiness, all we need is the cow and the sheep. That for our simcha in this world, this is all we need. We don't need to go to greener pastures. We don't need to search for anything else. We can be happy and satisfied just with what God gave us. And this grandfather blessed his grandson that he too should be satisfied with everything that God gives him in life. I remember at the time I was quite bemused by this drasha and how the grandfather was invoking the Masay Warrior. But then I encountered an incredible Gura. There's an amazing comment on the Vilnigan in this Parsha, on perhaps one of the most well-known comments in the Gemara. The Gemara tells us in Masechta Yuma that the second Beis HaMikdash, look, they were great people. They learned Torah. They did Gemilas Chasadim. So why was the second Beis HaMikdash destroyed? Because of the Avera of Sinas Chinam. You see, in the times of the Bayis Rishon, they violated the three cardinal sins: Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayah, Shvichas Damim. But why Bayis Sheni? Bayis Sheni was destroyed because of baseless hatred. And we all have been taught, possibly incorrectly, that the meaning of this Gemara, you know what Sinas Chinam is? He wears this kind of yarmulke, and this guy wears that kind of yarmulke, and he follows his rabbi, and I follow my rabbi, and we don't agree on anything. And that's a gross misunderstanding. There is no mitzvah in the Torah for any two Jews to wear the same color yarmulke. There's no mitzvah in the Torah for any two Jews to follow the same rabbi. No two Jews have to agree about anything. That is not sinas chinam. That is not what destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. We have 12 Shvatim in Klal Yisrael. Each one has their different color flag. There's no mitzvah for everyone to wear the same colors and the same stripes. So what exactly is sinas chinam? Says the Vilnigan, the clue to understand what sinas chinam is, we have to look at one particular line in the Gemara. The Gemara says about Bayis Rishon that they were Risha'im, but they placed their bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So let's study this carefully. The Gemara is saying two polar opposites. Bayis Rishon, they had bitachon. Bayis Sheni, they had sinas chinam. How is bitachon the opposite of sinas chinam? Bitachon is closeness with God. Sinas chinam is a lack of proper interpersonal relationship. Why is bitachon the antithesis and the polar opposite of sinas chinam? Well, the Gura says something very important. The Gura says you could basically encapsulate the 613 mitzvahs into what is called the Aseres HaDibros, the 10 Commandments. But the 10 Commandments could then be further summarized and encapsulated in the 10th commandment. The 10th commandment is Kol HaTorah Kula. What's the 10th commandment? The 10th commandment is Lo Sachmoid. Do not covet. Don't look for greener pastures. Whatever God gives you, rejoice with what Hashem has handed you. That is the summation of Kol HaTorah Kula. Says the Gura, the klal of Kol HaTorah Kula is Lo Sachmoid. All 613 could be summarized by the 10 Commandments. All 10 Commandments could be summarized by Lo Sachmoid. Do not covet. You don't need more. The entire Torah could be summarized that you don't need more. You see, we look at life as a suit that you go to some kind of basement and you rip the suit off the shelf and then you have to tailor it. Now I have to figure out how I'm going to make this suit suitable for me. That's how we look at our life. That our life, it basically fits us. Let me see what I could do to make my life suitable for me. No, we're making a mistake. Life is not a suit that was yanked off a shelf somewhere or a basement. Life is a custom-made suit. Your life, your wife, your husband, your children, your home, your job, your current set of circumstances stuck in your home is the exact scenario for you, for your ultimate success and happiness. The Gura applies this to Parshas Shemini, kosher food. We know for an animal to be kosher, it has to have split hooves and it has to chew its cud. Says the Gura, this is not a chayk, this is not a divine decree that we don't understand. This is a very reasonable guideline. You see, an animal that has whole hooves, an animal whose hooves are not split, they're walking around all day. Let me see. Let me try to eat that rabbit over there. That rabbit over there looks better than the one near me. Oh, let me try to eat that fish over there. An animal whose hoofs are not split could go anywhere, and whenever it sees something better than its current set of circumstance, it could pursue it. God says, don't eat that. You are what you eat. You know what kind of animal you're going to eat? You're going to eat an animal with split hooves. An animal that has split hooves cannot eat anything out of its immediate Dalet Amos. It sits in its immediate area and enjoys what God has prepared for it right here. You don't have to search, you don't have to go out, you don't have to look for anything more. The split hooves reflect the midah of bitachon, faith that what you have in your immediate vicinity is what is good for you. Let's talk about chewing its cud. An animal that doesn't chew its cud, it eats this for breakfast. I don't like that. I'm going to try something else for lunch. I'm sick and tired of that. I'm going to try something else for dinner. God says don't eat that. That's a bad midah, always needing something else, always needing something different. You're going to eat an animal that eats grass for breakfast and enjoys that grass so much that it actually regurgitates that grass and brings it back into its mouth and sucks out every last ounce of juice from that grass and eats that grass again and again and again and again. The cow says, I don't need anything but the mouthful of grass that God gave me for breakfast. This is the klal of Kol HaTorah Kula. The ideology of the Torah is, Rebbe Shalom says, I gave you your home, your spouse, your children, your food, your set of circumstance. Don't try to change it. Enjoy it. I gave it to you for your happiness, for your welfare. Try to suck out every last ounce of juice. Like the Masay Warrior, although that might be an extreme an extreme, taking this idea to the extreme. Nevertheless, the midah of histapkos, the midah of being satisfied with what the Rebbe Shem has provided us with, is the central principle of kol haTorah kula and the central principle of kosher food. Says the Vilnigan, if we understand the midah of bitachon, we'll understand how it's the polar opposite of sinas chinam. Sinas chinam is not that I can't get along with a Jew more Haredi or more modern than me. What sinas chinam is I don't like you because I think you took away what I could have had. You have this job. If not for you, I would have had that job. You got my aliyah. If not for you, I would have gotten the better aliyah. You got my house. I could have got that house. I could have got that set of circumstance. That's the midah of sinas chinam. I hate you because I think you took it away from me. But the midah of bitachon is to recognize nobody took anything away from you. Your exact set of circumstances is what God has tailor-made for you, for your greatest happiness in this world. This week, we begin Pirkei Avos. We know the great midah, Ezehu, Ashir Hasameach B'chalkai. Who is wealthy? Someone who is happy with his lot. We mistakenly think, what does it mean to be happy with our lot? I'm not jealous of other people. I don't begrudge when other people have more than me. That's not what it means to be happy with my lot. Be happy with my lot means I rejoice in my lot. It brings me ecstasy, and it brings me great happiness. When I look at my family, I look at my house, I look at my job, I look at my health, I look at what the Rebbe Shem has delivered to me, and I rejoice in it. This is the klal of kol haTorah kula. In the times of the first Beis Hamikdash, they were worshipping idols. They were murdering. They were committing arayos. But they had bitachon. At least they recognized that their life was what the Rebbe Shem has prepared for them. But in Bayis Sheni, they learned Torah. And yes, they did chesed. But they hated their friend because they didn't feel that their life was the custom suit that Hashem made for them. That is the root of kol haTorah kula. The Torah could be summated as loisachmai, don't covet. That is the root of kashrus. Eat an animal that stays in its dalet amos and enjoys again and again and again what it has. You know, we don't always have the opportunity to work on this. But now we're stuck at home. Maybe in the past, we're tired. I'm tired of lunch. I'm going to get a different lunch tomorrow. Why don't you try one time? Just eat the same thing 2 days in a row and think, Ribbana Shalaylam, you gave me a bowl of Cheerios. You gave it to me. Thank you so much. Right? You like Cheerios. Right? Cheerios is good. You could put a banana in if you want. You gave me a bowl of Cheerios 2 days in a row. Thank you, Hashem. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam borei minei mezainos. You're going to be sitting around the Shabbos table now for the 11th day basically in a row. We had 3 days and then 2 days. Now we have Shabbos with your same family and the same jokes and the same, everybody at each other's. Rejoice in it. Be happy with it. This is what the Rebbe Shem gave you. The Rebbe Shem gave it to you for your happiness. When else do we have such an opportunity to be in the house? We're limited in our ability to leave. So now we have the opportunity to work on the principle of kol haTorah kula, bitachon. Trust that everything in our life is for our well-being, our hatzlacha, our happiness, and ultimately our great success in the world to come. So I want to take the opportunity to wish everybody a wonderful Shabbos. Enjoy the mishpacha. From Juice Man to Me. Will this be available to watch again? We're gonna try that. So, I want to wish everyone again Agun Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is Friday Shabbos. The Moiled will be Wednesday, April 22nd, 10:58 p.m. and 12 Chalakim. Be'ezus Hashem, we're about to begin at the end of the week Chodesh Iyar. Iyar stands for Ani Hashem Roifecha. So we hope the Rebbe Shem sends refuos to all of Klal Yisrael. The Rebbe Shem should watch over all the Chayla Yisrael. They should have a quick refuah. They should come home. They should all be gezint. They should all feel good. And the Rebbe Shem should watch over all of us and watch over all of our families. Ushmart Seisenu, Uvayenu, L'chaim L'shalom Yatav Yad Olam. Agun Shabbos, everyone. Shkayach. Shabbos, Shabbos, Shabbos. Shabbos, Shabbos, Shabbos. Shabbos. Shabbos, Shabbos, Shabbos. Shabbos, Shabbos, Shkoyach. Shabbos, Shabbos.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.